There is a lot to uncover in Warzone 2's DMZ mode, but in this video, I'm going to teach you 15 secret pro tips and tricks that you need to know. And I assure you, by the end of the video, you'll have learned something new for your next games in DMZ, especially some of these secret loot areas that I'm going to share throughout the video. There's going to be a lot of DMZ content here on this channel, so if you like the sound of that and you enjoy this video, consider subscribing so you don't miss out. But this first tip is something that I encourage everyone to do immediately starting into the DMZ if you're starting fresh or you just died in a previous game and you need to recover, and it's to make a run or get a vehicle to get there to the nearest ammo depot that is near to you. There is no question about it. Making a way here will guarantee you some of that beginner loot that you are so desperately looking for, such as 2 to 3 plated armor vests, self-revive kits, a bigger backpack, as well as some weapons here and there. Now, it's not guaranteed that you'll find everything just mentioned there in your single first visit to one of these ammo depots, but it's definitely worth doing. If I'm jumping into DMZ where I've just lost everything, then this is the first place I go to, and it's never let me down so far. So maybe even visit a few if you want to before you go ahead and do your other stuff, because it's so important to have that vest and to have that backpack. This second tip is one of my absolute favorites, and it's one that's becoming quite popular now, so you want to try and do this before other players in the lobby do so. But one of the struggles with DMZ is, of course, exfilling without getting killed by other squads. Since there's only 3 exfils on the map, it can be tricky sometimes to exfil without there being any disturbance. But if you go ahead and complete a hostage mission contract, this will give you your own secret personal exfil that other players can't see / isn't marked on the mini-map, and it will be your own personal helicopter that you can take with that hostage, and you will get yourself successful exfil knowing that there are no other players around to take you out in the process. The only problem with this tip is that there aren't that many of these contracts lying around Al Mazrah, so if you do decide you're ready to exfil and you do find one on the map, I'd make my best effort to go there and activate that contract and get it completed sooner rather than later, just so that you are 100% safe for that exfil. But these hostage mission contracts aren't easy in themselves. There will be a hostage inside of a building that is going to be fortified by some pretty strong AI. Most of them will have riot shields or definitely be armored up, so you want to make sure that you are ready for this. But on one of the levels is going to be a hostage that's going to have a bomb strapped to it, and you're going to want to defuse that pretty quickly, as you don't have a crazy amount of time. And once you've done that, you then need to carry the hostage and make your way over to that exfil helicopter. If you're playing in a squad of 3, this should be a ton easier because the person carrying the hostage won't actually be able to shoot. But I also feel the AI are a little bit more friendly to those that are doing this mission, so use that to your advantage. Now, I did mention about amazing loot, and we've got 3 loot spots in this tips and tricks video. I'm going to be starting off with the first one here at Al Malik Airport. So if you spawn right in this side of the map, which you definitely have a few times, if you make your way straight forwards into this sort of underground section, there will be an abundance of rare crates. Like, every single one that I'm seeing here is a super rare crate that's containing money, containing valuable items, containing weapons, and without much effort at all, I've already got a 3-plated armor vest, I've got a gold bar, I've got 5,000 in cash, and there are even more littered around. And I can't count the amount of times that I have completely dismissed running here because there's been a light helo that spawned to my left, or I'm just running to go and get the truck that's on the runway. This is a seriously kitted out area at times, and I definitely would not dismiss checking this out before you go ahead and leave terminal. If you guys have found anything crazier from this particular loot spot, let me know in the comments below. Now, this next tip might be a little bit of a no-brainer, but I definitely would use this at all times. And when you're entering a brand new area and you see a UAV tower close by, I would definitely make an effort to go ahead and activate that UAV tower, as it lets you see all the AI around in the area, as well as potential players in the area before looting. So if you're approaching an area and you can hear gunfire, more times than not, it's the AI shooting at other players, because the AI just aren't going to be shooting for no reason. With that knowledge in mind, if there is a UAV tower that is within your reach without you getting into any danger, that will definitely give you the upper hand when it comes to tackling that enemy team. I mean, you could choose to be friendly as well, but how many times has that worked out for you? Now, this next tip comes into when you're having one of those very intense exfil situations where you're waiting for the helicopter to come in, you make your way onto that helicopter, and there's a chance that you might go down on the helicopter. Well, there's an actual amazing feature within the game where even if you are downed within that Exfil helicopter, as long as it flies away whilst you're still downed, you will still successfully extract. The game won't count you as dying because you haven't died yet. You're just bleeding out, right? Now, we can take this one step further. If you are the last teammate alive on the squad, or you're dead and someone else is the last alive, as long as they exfil, even though you've died, you technically still have that classed as a successful exfil, where you gain all the XP from that session, and the game doesn't recognize that you actually fully died because you never quit the game and your squad still successfully exfilled even though you weren't alive. I literally just had this happen in a random game where I squad filled, the 2 other people died, and I managed to successfully exfil, and they got unlocked, and we're very happy that I managed to exfil. Next tip is absolutely incredible, but also a little bit broken, so there might be a chance that this might not work in a few weeks. But when you drop into the DMZ with your insured weapon, which is the weapon you choose with all the gunsmith attachments, if you drop that insured weapon, go ahead and pick up 2 random guns in the world and then stow your insured weapon into your backpack and successfully exfil, the game will count your insured weapon as a contraband weapon and it will add it to your contraband stash. Now, I tried this out with the TAC 56. It's got gold camo, it's got 5 attachments, so you're clearly not going to find this normally around in the world. I do this trick, I go back to my weapons in the main menu, and as you can see, my insured weapon is on a cooldown, but if I go to my contraband stash, that TAC 56 is there. It's got the 5 attachments. We can equip it. It's gold. So you could do this over the course of a few hours of DMZ runs, and you could build up a massive contraband stash of all of the insured weapons that you want, gunsmithed out, camoed out, and you can run, and you don't necessarily have to worry about dying with your insured weapon because you'll have loads in your contraband stash. I definitely would make the most out of this trick sooner rather than later, but it's incredible that this trick works. Now, this next tip goes out to anyone struggling right now to get the M13B from the chemist. It's a pretty difficult thing to do as everyone in the game is trying to do it right now, but I'm going to make it a very easy, simple unlock for you. You don't even need to bother going for the chemist, but you will need a friend that has the M13B unlocked. What most people don't realize right now is that people are going into game with that health hazard blueprint version of the M13B, dropping it for a friend, then picking up and exfilling. But if anyone has the M13 unlocked, simply go to your insured weapon slot and create an M13 build as that weapon slot. That way the M13 can be given out without them having to necessarily lose that health hazard blueprint, which is an extremely rare blueprint version in DMZ, because technically you can only drop 1 M13, being that health hazard contraband. But if you create an M13 as the insured slot, then you can be dropping M13s for your friends for the foreseeable future. And that goes as well for any other weapon within Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer that you have not unlocked yet. If you exfil with that weapon, it will unlock for you regardless of all the weird hoops you have to jump through in normal multiplayer to unlock specific guns. Now, this next trick is a really small, subtle one, but it's something which I don't think I've seen many players do really at the moment, and it's when you're picking up contracts. Now, I don't know why, but the game plays this animation of you dialing into a phone, and whilst the game is doing this, you actually have like superhuman speed. So if you can predict where the objective is going to go after this animation plays, you can zoom for about 5 seconds across the map to wherever you want to go, and you're invincible during this. So it's particularly if you're in sticky situations, activating a contract might actually give you a little bit of headroom to just zoom away for a moment. Now, we spoke about loot spots. I have another best loot spot for you for this next tip, and this is probably going to be a bit of a surprise for you. This is actually going to be the train that's running around in Al Mazrah. Particularly if you are playing on solo and you have spawned near the train, this is a guaranteed gold mine of loot and cash for you, because there are so many carriages that contain these super rare crates, and there's a ton of stuff. There's even hidden caches within some of the carriages on this train, so it is an absolute no-brainer to make a dash for the train before someone else does in the game and grab all of the great loot on this train. And then if you wanted to just ride the train until it gets somewhere on the map that you need to go and you can hide and no one else jumps on the train, then you're all good. You just got around the map risk-free, and you got a load of amazing loot in the process. You really can't ask for much more than that. But for this next tip, it's going to be one of the most valuable field upgrades that you can choose whilst going into the DMZ, especially if you're going to be doing quite a few contracts that involve you delivering things. And this is going to be the trophy system. And the best example for this is if you're doing the deliver cargo contracts, because these give you 10,000 cash, which is a lot of money. But in the process, you have to go ahead and escort this cargo that's on the back of this vehicle to the other part of of the map. And during this, there's going to be an attack chopper that's going to spawn in trying to destroy it. Who knows, it could be other AI in your way that are going to be shooting at this vehicle as well. But if you throw a trophy system, way better than I did, let me add, you will protect this vehicle from any damage from that attack chopper. May you get into a situation where it can destroy it, because it does happen. And it will also deflect any sort of like RPGs that the AI might be shooting at you whilst you're roaming past. So even if you're not doing a deliver cargo contracts, but you found a vehicle that you're going to stick with for the rest of a DMZ run, it is so crucial to have that trophy system on it, because it will just keep it from being destroyed. I can't count the amount of times I've had a vehicle destroyed while I'm literally just fueling it at a gas station, because there's just AI just going crazy at my vehicle. We've spoken about the most valuable field upgrade, but now let's talk about one of the most invaluable tactical grenades that you can have, and these are the Snapshot grenades. These are really underrated in my opinion, but I feel these are incredibly useful if you're going around looting up strongholds, as it will allow you to see where all the enemies are before you've even stormed into the building, especially if you're going to be going up against other things, especially maybe if you're trying to do the weapon case contract where you're looking for the Juggernaut. You might want to know where that thing is before you go ahead and take it down, and this just makes your life a little bit easier. I would also argue that the stims are almost as essential as Snapshot grenades, especially if trying to regen your health against the AI, especially late game, but the Snapshot grenades are actually very, very useful, especially if you're also taking down enemy teams and you don't know where other players are if you've managed to take one or two of them out, for example. Now, this next tip is one that the game literally does not teach you, and I've seen so many people confused about how it works, and this is how to guarantee to get armor plates to drop from enemies, as it feels really inconsistent on when they do drop armor and when they don't, and learning exactly how that system works, because you lose armor so quickly in DMZ. And the way it works is that these armored AI enemies will only drop armor plates if you kill them with headshots. So if you shoot them in the chest, or if you use grenades and break their armor and then kill them, they're not going to drop any plates. But if you make sure that you kill them with a headshot, they will 100% drop armor plates, which is of course absolutely essential when you're coming up against AI of this strength in the game. And this next tip is a bit of a cheap one, but it is going to be useful, because right now everyone and their dog is going for the weapons case inside of DMZ right now. The moment you pick that thing up, you are marked for everyone on the map, and as soon as you see that thing being moved around the map, it's generally going towards an exfil spot, and people are going to be camping it trying to get it. But the easiest way I've found to get the weapons case without even going for it, and it feels really bad to do this, is to just wait for a team to pick it up, and they're going to an exfil point, and then literally just running them over with a vehicle. Most players right now don't realize that the safest way to wait for the exfil once you've called it in is to go into a building, for example. People just stay out in the open, get massacred by AI or massacred by real players. So in this clip, it feels really bad, but I run 2 people over. I don't know if there's a third or not, but they drop the weapons case. They've called the helicopter and it's literally here. So I go out, I make sure I grab that thing, and I exfil successfully with it. And I feel really bad for doing that, but it made sure that I got part of that complete, where you have to do it 7 times to unlock that secret operator skin. Now, our second to last trick is one which a lot of players are starting to realize, but I don't think you might be doing. And it's going to make your life a lot easier if you are going to be trying to go for the chemist or go for the Juggernaut to get the weapon case. Now, vehicles really are your best friend in DMZ for traversing across the map without getting into a load of gunfights. But vehicles can do all the work for you as well in these fights, especially against bosses, because you can just easily run these bosses over with any vehicle instead of actually fighting them and getting the rewards that you want. So you can run over the chemist with a vehicle and he will drop the M13. You can also run over the Juggernaut and he will drop the weapon case. I definitely advise, if you are going to do this, then to do this with an armored car, because otherwise the vehicle could very easily get destroyed by AI or even real players if you're going to one of these heavily populated areas. But as long as the boss that you're trying to kill is outside rather than in a house, then you should be absolutely fine. Here we get to the final tip for this video, and it is my absolute favorite loot spot. We saved the best till last, and I assure you this is the absolute best place that I've found to get loot. Now, this is going to be in Sawah Village, and you're going to want to go onto the rooftop of this building here on the map. It's actually a hotel, and there are 2 rooms in the hotel which you need to use keys in order to open, but we can do a trick to completely bypass needing keys and getting ourselves the crazy loot inside. To get to these hotel rooms, we need to use the ladder that is on the side of the hotel, and it take you all the way up to the rooftop. there's going to be 4 of these window vents that are going to be open, allowing you to drop down into the hotel rooms. But what we're going to be doing is going for the far left and far right top openings, as these are going to drop us into hotel room 302 and hotel room 303 without needing to find the keys for them. So here we go. We're going to drop down into the room, and you're going to immediately find there's going to be a rare supply box, which usually has some incredible stuff as well as a weapon. You can also find gold bars, other really valuable documents, other strange objects as well, and the bathrooms usually have some good stuff as well. But you can also find weapons lying on the ground that are generally going to be really good, have quite a few good attachments. Once we're done in the room, we're going to open the door, we're going to go back onto the roof and drop through into the other one, where we're going to have another supply box as well as cash and other things. And one of the missions for the factions is to go in here and get a golden desert eagle, and you'll be able to find it in one of these rooms just lying by the side of the bed. So if you want to extract with a super cool weapon, then I definitely recommend this. But just look at how much cash is lying around. Look how many other valuable things I've picked up whilst I've been here. It's absolutely incredible. I'm genuinely a little bit worried that giving this tip away in this video, it's going to have a lot of players suddenly surge to this hotel area, because the stuff you find in here is just absolutely insane. But there we go. Those are my top tips and tricks for DMZ from within the first week of DMZ launching. I'm gonna have tons more DMZ content here on the channel, lots more secrets, tips, tricks, Easter eggs, guides, and all sorts. So be sure to subscribe if you like the sound of that. But if you learned something new in this video, before you leave, drop a thumbs up. If you're looking for a complete guide to DMZ, then you can find it on your screen right now. Just give that a click right now, and I'll be with you in just a moment.